Many thanks for taking the time today to join us on this, webinar on workshop on Excel to Excellence, how we can use actually Excel, which is our native FP&A tool, to discover how we can do better FP&A, better planning, better coordination across the company using Excel, but with superpowers at the back, right? So let's have a quick look at that one. Basically, who am I? My name is Tejas Parekh. Basically, I'm a SEMA qualified chartered. I have an MBA from University of Hertfordshire in finance. Plus, I'm a professional consultant as well. I'm a certified Anaplan modeler and a Microsoft certified Power BI expert as well. So from that perspective, I have moved in my career, starting my life in FP&A, done GE Healthcare for 5 years, do Vodafone, Unilever, and stuff like that, and then gone into basically the tech space within FP&A, which is one of the reasons why I am so keen on, and I'm talking about Vena today, because everywhere that I've gone in, I've seen Excel being used extensively. So with Vena, we can actually continue using Excel, but give it superpowers along with it. So that's the purpose of today's session. Where I come from is, done Nielsen for a couple of years, GE Healthcare, Vodafone, and a lot of MNC experience with FP&A doing, data analytics this was back in 2008-9, where even Power BI didn't exist, using MS Access and Excel and things like that. So, you know, do, I've always had basically a passion for FP&A, but a passion for technology and automation within FP&A, so that we can do a better job as a FP&A function. That has led me to now basically create basically Akshay Business Consulting, or ABCL, back in 2018, where we have since then worked with basically Excel Wireless, with Carphone Dixon, Cinemedia, with basically, Premiering, with Yosushi, Cinemedia, and a lot of other companies essentially, where we have given them either Power BI solutions or Anaplan and that kind of enterprise level, planning tools for them to actually start doing a better job. And a lot of times the feedback we get is so positive, because people can actually see a change in their day-to-day life of how their work-life balance has changed because of automation, essentially. I think some of you have attended my previous workshops, so you would know. I always will bring up this slide, and I apologize for repeating the same for those who've seen this before. But this, for me, is the crux of how us as ABCL work, right? This is what, when we give consulting to businesses, this is what we advise them on. Whenever we talk to a business, we look at, there are CRMs, there are timesheet solutions, there are ERPs, there are generally more than one ERP, at least two, if not more. There are different HRMs, disjointed systems, and then there is other data, all over the place, including a lot of it in Excel as well. What we advise them to do is put in a data lake of some sorts, either a data warehouse, data lake, Azure, call it what you like, right? A cloud-based solution, which feeds your business intelligence. A lot of my previous workshops have been on Power BI. The recordings are on the website. Please go right ahead and have a look at them. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Happy to walk through them again. And have a EPM CPM solution, which basically essentially is a planning solution. There's a difference. I'm using the word planning solution. I am not using financial planning solution. So the reason I'm using the word planning is because I'm saying essentially it can be planning in terms of financial planning, as well as operational planning, headcount planning, and the whole FP&A or connected planning solution as such. Okay, when this infrastructure is built correctly, what you really get out of it is an efficient month end. You get reporting and analytics, you get real performance management, and not performance management in terms of you are over budget or you are under budget, or or budget, variance against forecast. It is why are you against forecast or favorable to forecast? What is the drivers? What risk or what opportunities does that create for us as a business? And real, driving actions in the business so that you kind of can drive business performance essentially. Driver-based budgeting, scenario planning, what-if analysis then starts becoming a lot more easy. And I will talk you through how, for example, in case of Vena, that is possible. So that is the kind of thought process that is needed. But for that, leadership needs to think about infrastructure which works like this. Okay, this is a very, very critical slide, I think. And again, in every workshop that you ever attend with me, I will keep talking about this one. So who is this webinar for? For CFOs, finance directors. I can see at least a couple of CFOs on here. Finance directors, head of FP&A, anybody who's interested in finance transformation of any sorts. Because when finance people start venturing outside finance into the technology space, it's always good to get some guidance. So that's what we'll be talking about today. What we will be covering though is a brief introduction to Vena, what the business is. Vena workflow, I am even people at Vena know I am very, very passionate about Vena workflows, and I will explain myself why, and I would really encourage a discussion around that one. Native Excel of how that helps actually as a business. And then reporting in Vena, how at least the Excel option. There are two options. You've got Power BI option as well as Excel option. We will briefly look at the Excel option today. Any questions so far? Anybody has any comments, questions? Or should we dive right in?
Tejas, this is Bijal. How are you?
I'm amazing, Vijay. How are you? Nice to see you
Good.
again.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. I do have a question, and I just consolidating. So we have several financials that we consolidate together between countries, which is Canada and US. And I'm looking for a way. It's very intense right now, the way we handle on an Excel spreadsheet, trying to balance out the trial balance and all that. So I'm looking for a way, what would be the best approach to handle that in an Excel format? You just mentioned about Power BI or Excel. So what would be your thoughts on that?
How about Bijal, we hold that question. Once we dwell into the workflow, I will point out how Vena can help with that as well. So it depends on the number of steps you expect out of it. Like if you just expect that you want a system to add number from US to add number to the number from Canada and create an output, Power BI can add numbers together. But if you need something a little bit more intelligent, then we'll talk about how Vena can help you on that one.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No worries. So again, yes, predominantly my demo will be focused around planning and analysis, but I will from time to time keep talking about how you can do consolidation, how you can make your month end more efficient, and other activities within finance as well. So the tech stack that we are talking about doesn't just solve for FP&A; it solves for the Office of Finance outside of a ERP. I strictly don't get involved in ERP selection, implementation, or anything such like. So outside of ERP, how this can help, we can still talk about it. So why Vena? 80% of companies return to Excel, right? I mean, even when I have implemented Anaplan for last 4 or 5 years, and I can tell you people still want even in Anaplan for us to provide Excel add-in because it's just so native. It is like in the DNA of finance, right? So this is a key metric to look at. And I think alongside this, we should also look at the metric of 80 to 90% of finance transformations fail. And they fail, in my opinion, because we expect people to change behavior in 2 months of transformation. It does not happen. Nobody changes behavior in 2 weeks because the boss said so. Okay, unless it is ingrained in their day-to-day activities and day-to-day behavior pattern, the transformation does not happen. So this is where Vena, I think, is a good middle ground where you are still in the cloud, you still have automation, you still benefit from a good, very robust CPM model solution at the back end, but you get a much better user adoption just because the front end is Excel. And we will be looking at that as we go along, right? Cognitive comfort, because essentially people have just developed their skill set around Excel, their thought process around Excel. Businesses have their own Excel IP in terms of their templates. This is how we draw these reports. This is how we do these things. Your own IP is already there. So, with Vena, the advantage is it's not like you are opening a blank sheet of paper and starting all over again. You can actually use all your Excel templates, even your consolidation templates, your basically month-end templates, whatever templates you have. You can continue using them, but then enhance them with Vena. That's the beauty of the solution which Vena have come up with, essentially, right? And they are basically Microsoft partners, global technology partners. They get all first insights of what Microsoft is coming out with, new innovations and things like that. So when you partner with Vena, it is like you partner with partnering with Microsoft, which essentially is a whole market leader in what they do at the minute anyway. I mean, there was a statistic I was reading the other day, about 80 to 90% of global businesses are on a Microsoft platform. Yes, there are 10 to 15% on Google platforms, but 80 to 90% are on Microsoft platforms. So there you go, right? I mean, they're definitely market leaders in what they do. How Vena really helps, the Vena's approach is pretty straightforward. So they take data from source systems. So again, Vijay, to your point, from any of your ERPs, right? And then there's a cube that is modeled. So some people, businesses like ours, will help you model how that should be combined and everything else within Vena, help you establish a process map and pull a process around it, which then starts working and clearly assigning roles, responsibilities, templates. The process starts structuring itself, and even consolidation happens on its own and stuff like that. And you can then even output in PowerPoint. You can even share it on Teams. You can have Power BI output. You can have output in Excel. You can have output in where you like. So you can actually consume this data where and when you want. Perform analytics on the fly as you want and as you go along, right? So that is the beauty essentially of what Vena can do for you. I'd now like to move into the demo. I am going to try and bring up my Vena. There we go. Dishan, can you do that poll, please? Yeah, thank you. So while this is a Vena demo environment, I'm going to log in as Frank Jones, essentially. So if we can get a few more responses on this one, that would be very helpful. Cool. Okay. Other software. I mean, do you mind? Do people mind typing in the chat of what other software are they using? That would be quite interesting to know. Because Excel, I can guess. I mean, that I'm not too surprised about. So this is a login into Vena. In this one, I have got basically at the minute because I've signed in as Frank Jones. I've been assigned as basically manager, contributor, and I've got insights as an option. There is another option of admin where you control what roles and responsibilities people have, who has access, you set passwords and stuff like that. Plus, you can create restrictions around who can have access to what data in terms of US cannot see Canada, Canada cannot see US, EMEA cannot see North America, or things like that. So you can have geographical limits, departmental limits, at the same time, what you can do within the Vena environment as a manager, contributor, and insight. So you get a lot of options from that perspective. There's a lot of controls around that one. Okay. My passionate topic of workflow within Vena. And yes, somebody said Anaplan. I am an Anaplan modeler as well. I have been implementing Anaplan for a while, but nothing beats a Vena workflow. Okay, so this I think is really, really something which differentiates Vena from most of the other solutions I have seen out there. Okay, Vena has this option of you can have a process map. The process map can have basically these 5 options. Input means this is a step where you're expecting somebody or a group of people to go in and input data. Review is when somebody's signing it off. Report is where you are only looking at essentially insights. You are not doing any activity in terms of providing data. Activity is essentially then it is a decision point where it breaks up and it can go back and stuff like that. And then processing is where the consolidation and stuff like that happens. Okay. Why is this good? Is because in my experience in FP&A, I have rarely seen a crystal clear map of my budgeting cycle starts here, finishes there, who is supposed to do what. Very few businesses have it, and those who do have it in Excel, which sits in the head of FP&A's C drive or in the FP&A manager's drive. Most people as a team are not very aware of what they need to do and when is the deadlines. Whereas with this, I will show you a couple of examples. Okay, so this, as you can see, okay, is basically a activity box. What does that mean? I know it is an activity box because you see the symbol on the there and you see the symbol there. Okay, means it has a sub process under it. Okay, when I double click on it, it shows me that okay, set up the target, get it reviewed, and then therefore then the process finishes. Okay, and I have one for New York, I could have one for London, one for I don't know, Toronto, one for whatever, as many as I like. Okay, so I could have different sub processes. Once all of these processes are finished, is when you get to top-down targets have been set. So you can only go ahead once this process is completed. And again, I'll go back in here. When I double click on this, it tells me who is the owner of this setting of the targets, where do they need, which templates they need to open and set up the targets, what is the deadline around it. And this is a dynamic one. It can be set by a particular date if you want to choose it, or a smart date in terms of after the start 5 days or before the deadline minus 5 days, or whichever way you like it. So there is a lot of options around that. How does this help is when this task becomes due, Vena itself will start emailing Frank, Betty, and Ari and say, you need to do this. You need to do this. If they keep forgetting, Vena will keep reminding them and keep sending it across. When they submit it, it will send an email to the reviewer, who again happens to be the same people in this particular case, but obviously normal businesses won't. It will send the reviewer an email that, okay, Betty and Frank have submitted the numbers. Can you please go and review and sign it off? Can you go and do that? So it is managing that whole coordination structure, deadlines, and timelines around it. Plus, within Vena, you can also see who is running behind, who is, done their jobs on time and things like that. So again, don't think of this only as a planning solution. Think of it as a process solution. There are literally consulting businesses out there whose entire consulting proposition is process optimization. Whereas your process optimization is a part of your Vena solution, because then you really start drawing this process out. Like one of the big things I did at Unilever when I was at Unilever is the fact that I helped them simplify their planning process from 3 to 4 weeks to like 7 working days. Just by clarifying the steps, clarifying roles and responsibilities, clarifying who was supposed to do what by what time. Right, that's the level of efficiency you can just gain by being organized. I'm not even talking about changing templates or improving inputs or anything of that nature. I'm purely talking about process optimization. Okay, so this in essence automatically lends itself towards process optimization and shaving of time from your planning cycle, essentially, because your process is optimized and people are very clear on what they need to do and by when they need to do it. Okay, so every step here. So like again, see expense planning. If I double click on expense planning, just showing you one more example, then I will move on. So I've got Amsterdam expense planning, London expense planning, each individual. And therefore, why is this different? Like it is different because different people in London are responsible for London expense plan as compared to Los Angeles, for example. Right? So you have all those sub processes. Currently, when you do it in Excel and things like that, people do their own thing and then they submit it to you. You don't know how they have arrived at that number, who is done what, things like that. Here, you are actually doing even the financial planning is bottom up connected to what needs to be done. So those are two like kind of sub processes which I really think is interesting. This is a review one, which again, if I double click, it tells me who is supposed to review it and what are they supposed to review. So once they review it and submit it, that comes across. So then you can start moving forward for the next steps, right? This is why the workflow, I think, is extremely beautiful in terms of a Vena proposition, because it starts giving you things like that. Central FX rates. Think of central FX rates. Think of, annual appraisals. Think of resetting of targets. All those kind of conversations where some of the information has to go top down, and then you start getting bottom up. What is the planning that they are doing around it? It works both ways, and it doesn't need a million emails to fly out around it. Okay. As I promised, Bijan, I will come back to that. So consolidation. So you can have, for example, a monthly consolidation. If your consolidation is complex, like currency management, adjusting entries, you see, then you know you maybe entity mapping and things like that. Then it is better to use something like a Vena or a proper consolidation solution to bring it together. If it is a question of adding 100 to 50 and say 150, then obviously Power BI or Excel or anything else can do it. But when you're looking for something more robust in terms of steps, in terms of check intercompany clearing it, clearing intercompany out, putting elimination entries, making sure your currencies are normalized and stuff like that, then that is important. Two templates also exist in Vena. Is information submitted in Excel, Google Sheets, or other format? The biggest challenge for me is consultation due to non-uniform. So non-uniform sheets again. So hold that thought, Avinash. Templates are in Vena. I will be checking a template out and I will be working on it and demoing it to you. The one I will be doing is for planning, but it is not to say that you cannot have a similar one for consolidation. Okay, it is though Excel. Vena doesn't work with Google Sheets, so I apologize. The way Vena uses Excel, and I'll show it to you in a minute, is just the way to interact with the cloud solution, if that makes sense. That's the way to look at it. That is how this essentially works. You can also have consolidation, financial close. I think I like the financial close, this one as well, because think, right? Most businesses tell me, Tejas, it takes 3 or 4 weeks for us to close our books. And by that time, we are already in the next month cycle. Okay, whereas if you draw it out very, very clearly, there are chances of getting there faster, essentially, right? So that's the way to think about it. Close management controls, perform reconciliations. Again, perform reconciliations just very quickly. This is very, very basic, I know, as a finance professional, but it just gives you an idea of what is the art of the possible. You could draw up your own, okay, how do you want to do the reconciliation? Who are the reviewers and everything else around it? So this can also work in terms of, as I showed you examples of, for consolidation, for month-end close, for annual budgets, for monthly forecasting. You can do lease accounting, you can do SOX controls around it, you can do wherever you think there is a process and coordination across multiple people using multiple Excel books is where Vena can automatically start helping you. Okay, so yes, almost I would say we would be limited by our imagination of what is the art of the possible. Does this kind of help you, Bijal, at least think this through of what you were talking about?
Yeah, it does. And of course, I have to drill down into more. So you just covered elimination, intercompany transactions, and all that comes to the place, plus the currency conversion, right? From from one country to the other. So those creates complication. And when you're going through the manual process, it's tedious and it takes hours and hours on a that basis. So that's why I raised that question. The question becomes is with Vena, do you have to like buy one or you get it all or you can choose and pick where you need is my question, because my most needs right now is the consolidation piece and that takes up a lot of time. So
Oh,
I'm
the
not sure.
So the beauty with Vena, if I can answer you on that one, the beauty on Vena is that you buy the license, then you use it for consolidation, you use it for basically reconciliation, you use it for your month-end cycle, you use it for basically your planning. There is no extra charge for it. They only charge you extra if your number of users go up, right? So if the same finance team is doing all of this, your cost doesn't change at all. You can create your own use cases. Asset register is another beautiful one. I always find that people have asset registers in their Excel book somewhere, right? There is no formal subledger with a asset register. So again, you could have an asset register in Vena. Your finance team could manage it. No extra charge for that. You set it up. Once it is set up, you just keep using it. No problem.
And you didn't see any issues where you have charts of account because of the acquisition took place. You have different charts of accounts within the companies, right? So managing that in consolidation won't be a problem, right? Just
No,
just checking in.
yeah, so with the admin rights, you can load hierarchies within Vena, and even that can be done directly within Vena or can be done via Excel load, via CSV load. So yes, when you set up buy a new company and their chart of accounts is different to yours, you just need to, there is generally a group chart of accounts, right? That, okay, these accounts add up into product sales, these add up into whatever, right? So each category, as long as you take the new chart of accounts and you map it into the existing hierarchy, you load that once and then that's it. Then when I will take care of it for forever, essentially.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and you can do it by CSV. So that means you don't need a consultant like us. You don't need anybody. You can do it by yourself. One of the good and the bad things about Vena is I lose business, but 50% or more of your day-to-day management, 80-90% you can do without us. It's only where your initial implementation modeling is where, and training is where we guys come in. But 80-90% of your day-to-day stuff you will be able to do on your own. You will not need anybody, which is the point, right? I mean, you don't want consultants hanging around your business all day.
Right, right.
So
I get it.
yeah,
Thank you.
no worries. So that gives you a few examples on how basically workflows, what workflow options are there. I am going to use annual budget and what was it? No, as a contributor. So now this is as a manager, I can set up what workflows, what is the process, who is responsible for what, and things like that. Okay, but I am also in this role at the minute. I'm also a contributor in terms of I'm a person who is supposed to provide inputs into the tool. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and do, where is my OPEX planning on, man? I did this morning, capital expense planning, not London. Yes, there you go. So literally when a contributor, somebody who's supposed to provide you with inputs, logs in with their single sign-on or their Vena login details, if you are only a contributor, you will not see anything but a contributor tab. You will see what is overdue, what is coming soon, what is for you to view and things like that. You can even see what is for your review, what reports access you have and things like that, or you can see everything together. I am going to use OPEX planning for forecast. And Avinash, this might be interesting for you when my Excel decides to open. So let me see which screen it has come up on and I'll bring it on here. Come on. Where is it? Where are you? You are down. There you go. So when I check out, basically it downloads automatically in Excel. Another beauty of Vena is I don't have to save this Excel. I can do what I want to do and I can delete it. It's all in my download folder and I can tidy it up. Nobody cares. Okay, because it all gets recorded in the cloud as it goes up. I'll show you in a minute. As soon as I logged in, it is now going to give me accept and continue. Okay. Come on.
Tejas, are you going to be able to send this recording later on?
Yes, we will definitely be sending this recording later on.
Okay,
Definitely.
thanks.
Okay, so see, the background is Excel, but this is a pop-up box which is now telling me what dimensions I want to work with. Okay, do I want to plan for London or Amsterdam? Again, this at the minute I am getting access to everything, but this can be limited via the admin portal to what I can see over here. Okay, so at the minute, because this is a demo environment, you can see everything, but you have got options to control that as you go forward. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on London. Again, I can choose what department I want to plan for. if I have access to all the departments. If I have a particular department, I will have only access to that department. What year, and then what scenario. So again, your budget, your 3 plus 9, your 6 plus 6, your 9 plus 3. If you're doing a 1 plus 11, 2 plus 10, blah, 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 all those scenarios can be set up over here. And again, as an admin or as a manager, you can set up what is your active scenario. Then there is not much option here. That is only one scenario which is active. And therefore, not everything is visible. Okay, then there is no confusion for the end user. At the minute, obviously, I am just trying to show I can have a lot of what if analysis also if I want and things like that if I wanted to do it. Okay, I'm going to leave it on London sales and then apply selection. And I'm going to let Vena do its magic. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now, if you notice over here, I've got this template going on the right. First of all, okay, so I can't open salaries because I'm not allowed. Okay, because for example, I have not been given the right to open salaries. But if there was a total cost which was forecasted, it would have been there, if that makes sense. So I can see total salaries for my department, but I can't see the breakdown because I'm not allowed to see it. Okay. At the same time, if somebody else who has the rights, they can see it. So you can set up that level of security. From a forecast setting perspective, your option one is obviously your good old type in a number. I want to type in 5,500. Welcome back, Avinash. So this is your Excel native question which you asked me. This is what it is. So I can go 500, 500, 700, whatever, right? And as I go, it keeps updating the numbers. It keeps working. This is your good old Excel template you submit. Okay. The other option is you can do like based on percentage change of prior year. You can spread evenly, spread based on prior year, percentage of revenue, dollar per head count. Again, this is a very short list. I think that we had a longer list elsewhere. So the list can be really as long. As many drivers you can imagine that can be created over here, and this template can work on that. So here, for example, if I just say 20,000, right? It's gone and done it automatically. I said year on year 10%. I'd want to say spread. No, I want to say this change percentage out of prior year, and I want to say 15%. Then it will take my last year 79,000 and make it 91,000. Okay, so it can do what it needs to do, whatever instructions I give it. So you have this option, you have that option. You can also have an option of planning it elsewhere, like have sub files for your workforce planning, for your vendor planning, and then bring directly totals over here. So because this is rent and stuff like that, has been done in property management and has just numbers are here for my department. I can't question it, but I can see what my department therefore adds up to. Okay. There are a few beautiful things on this one. So first, when I click on this, I have got data inspection option. Okay. I can see basically how many, one second, I have not submitted this, have I? No, I'm not submitted. Save data to Vena. So even here, again, okay, this just saved. I'm going to do something silly. I'm going to make it 50 million. Okay, just 5 million, 50 million. Okay. Now, when I try to do that and I try to save to Vena, I'm hoping it has. There you go. So it is telling me that I am already above the limits which has been set to me by my bosses or top down. Are you sure you want to submit? Now here I have actually two options. The way this is set up, it will tell me, do you really want to submit? I submit it and it will still accept it. The other option is we make it impossible for them to submit. Okay, that no, you cannot just submit this number doesn't work. Okay, so there are options like that as well where you can control nonsense coming in coming in. Where you're given a top-down target, people have to be within those parameters of what it needs to be. Okay, I'm going to try and save this data. Now, if I stay on the same cell, I can see save drill saves. So it's telling me Frank Jones saved the value of 750. was previously, last time saved 700. Last time was previous to that was zero on so and so date. Who did it? When did they do it? At what time? And what was the value? Right. So even within your planning cycle, you can have a full, basically, your audit trail of what the hell is going on, essentially. Okay. At the same time, when I open this, this template has been set up. You've got your actuals. The way this template is set up, you've got your actuals up to September as well. Another thing which I really like about this solution is I can even look at my actuals and I can say, okay, data inspection. I want to not add line items. I want to drill transaction. So this 10,391, I had an odd one in January last year. What happened? I drill transactions. This goes back into the cloud, gets the details, and tells me invoice ID level, quantity, or any other dimension which you have in your which has been brought in from your ERP into Vena. You can now start seeing what this cost was for. Okay. And that then starts giving you confidence of how to forecast further. Okay. If I add all of this up, hopefully add up to, yes, 10,397.21. Okay, so it starts giving me the confidence of, okay, you know what, this was an anomaly. This invoice I was not expecting next year. I'm not expecting this invoice next year. Okay, let me delete this. Don't care. Makes sense, but I don't need it. I can go on the right and do a forecast based on now what I know. Things like that. So again, this not only helps you again from a planning perspective, but also from a one-time perspective or a consolidation perspective. Because if you've got templates set up, you can drill into numbers which start looking very odd and seeing, okay, oh, accruals are left, this intercompany has not been reconciled or whatever else. So you can start doing stuff like that. So you've got drill saves, which shows you what was the last saved version into Vena, drill transaction, which talks about the transaction level detail behind it. You also have basically ability to add lines, remove lines. So for example, if I wanted to do this math, right, under this, and I want to add a line item at the bottom, I can add a line item here. I can call it basically uh, trial. I'm just going to call it trial at the minute. And then I can start putting numbers in there. And then I can say, okay, you know, this is going to be 3 line items I'm going to add at the bottom, right? And I'm going to say this is 2000. And I can start describing what that is. And based on that, create a forecast. So that doesn't mean my template is messed up, right? Because exactly what Avinash was asking now, he's left, I'm sure he's got an emergency, but basically when you say people start doing entering line and things like that, this doesn't basically mess up. So I can say trial one, there he's back, I come back. And sorry, trial two. Okay, even if somebody does that, it will not mess up my consolidation or my basically ability to bring this data together because it doesn't matter. Plus, I have an option to do a scratch pad on the side, which I can again do a whole lot of working like marketing initiative 1, marketing initiative 2, marketing initiative 3, and then add up a number and bring it into the marketing line. Could do that as well. And then save to Vena. When I save this to Vena, it takes with this, but when it consolidates, it will only consolidate that number. So when like a CFO like Bijal is looking at it, she is only looking at that number. When she gets curious or somebody's like, okay, how did they arrive to this number? How does this look? By where does this come from? You don't have to go to the department and find the right person and ask the question of what did you do? Why did you do this? Blah, 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 blah. You have all their workings right here in front of you. You can start answering those questions on your own. And it is all in Excel. So there is no hidden processes which people are doing for their own planning purposes, and you don't know what the hell they have done, so you have to go and ask. Actually, there can be transparency, and this also means to me again, which is what is important, is knowledge is lost when people leave jobs and when people move on. With this, even if people move on and people leave jobs, your template is still there. You know exactly how this has been broken down. Will you have a perfect template on your day one if you implemented Vena tomorrow? I respectfully don't think so. Because that what will happen is you will learn more and more about your business. We will all learn the art of the possible. And then as an evolution, I think you will build a template which you will be like, okay, this now gives me the right level of detail on an ongoing basis. It takes a few cycles in terms of not the solution, but it's about learning what the business requirements are, which is what we've always found when we've done these things as implementation essentially. Avinash, does this answer your question now? You missed a bit of it, so you have to catch up a little bit in recording. But does it help you? Does it answer your question? You have unmuted you, so you can unmute yourself and ask if you want. Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, so even if people change your template and people use different templates, it doesn't matter. You could even create one template for each people based on what they like, and based on that, based on that, you can essentially figure out, still get your output which you need essentially. Does this kind of make sense? Do you understand the Excel native advantage of the being in Excel essentially? Do people kind of get it? This is the Excel native element of Vena essentially. So you don't lose your existing templates and things like that. They can be easily recreated within Vena essentially. I am going to close this and I'm going to show you a reporting one because I really like the reporting in Excel as well actually. Where have I gone? Let me go here and then financial health. Oh, yes, this is the one I wanted to show. Executive dashboard. Yeah, this has got too much. I mean, because it's a demo environment, it's got a lot of stuff out there. Again, similar to what we saw on the Excel side, it is going to come out and ask me, okay, what do you want to see? What are the dimensions you want to see? So let's see. Come on, little one. You can do it. Yes, very good. So I'm going to say all entities. I can choose only London if I want. Sorry, only London if I wanted to. Because I did 220 there, so I can do the department number 220 here as well. Or I can go and look at all entities if I'm a CFO or something like that. I can go and look and apply selections. And this again all happens in real time. So I could submit there and immediately see here in like a matter of seconds. It's not like, okay, so people have finished submitting, now it'll take the team 2 days to reconcile and consolidate everything and review everything, and then it'll come here. No, it's close to real time. So you're there. And the whole pack is already created. All your graphs are there, all your KPIs are there on the top. I am going to try and zoom out so we can see everything. Yes, there we go. So the full thing is there. Again, your financials, your operational data, your people data, everything. So this is the Excel element, Excel reporting within Vena. Obviously, as I think most of you know, I'm a very big Power BI supporter, and Vena has got embedded Power BI, which means you can see data from Vena into Power BI, which sits within the Vena environment. And there is a connector to Power BI as well, which means, and there's like a native connection. It's not an API connection, it's a native connection, which just means that you can take data from Vena and from other sources and bring it all into Power BI if you don't have all your data in Vena yet. Right. So, for example, general use cases, ERP data is in Vena, you do budgeting in Vena, but your headcount data, for example, at the minute is still sitting outside, or your CRM data is still sitting outside, right? And things like that. Plus, we've done examples with basically service-based industry where you've got project-based work of start date, end date. It's a 2-year project. You're going to start this for the client, revenue recognition around it. All of those kind of things can all be done in Vena essentially, because you do it in Excel, you can do it in Vena. Not very complicated. Does this kind of raise questions? Does it? Does this make sense? Anybody has any further questions around this? Again, this can be changed. All the dimensions can be changed, to what you want it to be. If I want to see only the focus, I want to see this and things like that. So there is a lot of, this is your slices, pivot slices, essentially. and still comes with all your saves and everything else. So you can still drill down into numbers if you chose to. Uh, so let's go back to my test. Let me just recap my agenda. So yes, we did the workflow, we did the templates, and we did a Excel reporting option within Vena to see what the Vena reporting option is. And I talked about Power BI is also an option on top if you want to go into Power BI from Vena, so that you can do your reporting within Power BI as well from a dashboard and sharing perspective if you don't want all your users to be coming into Vena. So that is an option as well. So with that, essentially, I don't have any more demo perspective. The only thing I would like to then talk about is obviously because it's a Microsoft technology partner globally. You can use it, the Copilot from Microsoft. You can use it across all Microsoft platforms, including obviously Power BI. It starts giving you AI. It starts giving you, integration with Python and a lot of smart narratives with Power BI. I presented this last time uh, basically. And the reason why, again, Excel native is important is because most businesses find it very difficult to get people to accept new technology. So again, with Vena, it's a good first start to look at, okay, stay in Excel, but start using something more sensible and more powerful behind it, essentially. Uh, so, yes, Bijal.
So Vena usually is basically integrate basically with the Microsoft products,
Yes,
not with any other SQL server like SAP Business One or anything like that.
it can pull data from the SAP Business One and other sources as well, from Navision, from QuickBooks, all those things, not just Microsoft.
Okay, so it does have an option
Yes, yes,
to work.
absolutely, absolutely. You
Okay,
can
okay.
you can pull data from a whole variety of different sources. Plus, you have a CSV load option as well, which means if you've got like a really old anarchic system, which is like from 1970s, you can take a dump from it in CSV and load it in via CSV. But your CSV, QuickBooks, Navision, and most other ERPs, yes, you can bring data in. Where I talk about Microsoft Visual is much more of data from Vena can come out in a lot of Microsoft environment, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay,
Uh,
and for like a demo or something in regards to Vena is it's something that definitely I can contact you right about that.
yes,
Okay.
yes, please, yes, please.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah, because the thing is, again, what we bring to the table is not just the fact that it is technology. We will help you expand of what is the use cases around it and what are the key watch outs and things like that. Uh,
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. So Vena is definitely a full planning solution. It not only creates your financial planning, you can have workforce planning. So they have a very good workforce planning ready-made templates as well. So another good thing about Vena is the fact that they can give you templates also. So if you think you don't have templates already in place which are good enough, or you think you want to compare yourself to what is best in class, they have built their templates based on hundreds of thousands of customers that they have served. So their demo templates and their ready-made package templates are based on years of experience. They have been around for more than 10, 12 years, right? So from that perspective, you can compare your template to their template and make sure that you've got everything covered, which is another good thing about it. So you can do workforce planning, you can do capex planning, as I said, what if modeling and stuff like that. There is cash flow, there is project planning. So again, this morning we were demoing this to a client, and the client was like, "Tejas, I want to do project planning," and that is perfect. You can do by GL account, by project planning as you want, and then as long as your ERP has the same project dimensionality, you can start comparing. Okay, no, forget the GL account. How did this project do? Did I meet the mark on the project? You can do that as well. It just works. It is a cube. So you can pull it by project, you can pull it by GL account, pull it by cost center, by legal entity, whatever you like, even by basically currency. So if you're a treasury function and you're trying to figure out, okay, you know what, how do I do treasury management? Then even that can work within Vena. So close management can be done. And obviously, when you're doing people planning, I think compensation and all of that kind of works alongside with it. Okay. So there is. Key takeaway, what you can do in Excel today, you can do better in Vena tomorrow, for sure. That is the way I look at it. Right? Every dimension, every modeling that you can do, because it keeps your formulas in Excel there and then enhances them with basically cloud backup, essentially. I'd like to say we are very good at what we do. We've implemented various places and we've always got very good feedback on basically the kind of work we have done with Power BI and with Anaplan or other products with our customers. So again, go to my LinkedIn, look at the recommendations I have on there. And if this interests you and is this something that you think you would like to explore more about, get in touch. I mean, I'm happy to organize a demo for you guys, and help me spread the word. Because again, I don't think we should be coordinating 20 Excel books. One of the reasons why I like Vena is I don't need to have version 21 and I don't need to have version 10 final and then final number 35. That kind of craziness needs to stop. You can do all the stuff I did right now, all the Excel books I have, I delete. I don't care because all the data has gone into the cloud. It's still there. When I check out a new Excel, check it out from the cloud again, I get all my numbers back. I don't have to save all of this, which is the whole purpose, right? I mean, my job is not to take care of Excel books. So yeah, I mean, anything that catches people's eyes, any questions, anything you think I should clarify more? Avinash, you are my first degree connection in LinkedIn. I checked. So you absolutely reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I think next week sometime we will send out a recording for today along with PowerPoint. Dishant, can you please make a note of this? So Dishant will make sure that you will get a copy of, everybody will get a copy of the recording and the PowerPoint slides. And I'm available on these connections on LinkedIn, Calendly, and my website. Anytime, get in touch. I generally respond within 24 hours. I'm very heavy on LinkedIn. Anymore? Bijan?
Tejas, I will be in touch with you. I definitely need to talk and just get some advice from you because we are in a transition of a change of a software and we have data in two different software. One is GP Dynamics and SAP Business One. We are going to SAP Business One. So just timing issue, right? Is just trying to understand what makes most sense, and when to do it and how to do it and what it takes to do it. So that's
Uh,
all good questions. So
Definitely,
definitely we
Bijan.
can set up a meeting and just discuss out a little bit on this. But my there are several issues that I'm going through right now that and process is one of them,
Yeah,
which
and
Vena covers it, which I like it. So that's good.
yeah, the only thing is because you know what, it's good to have that conversation now because even if you don't go and do Vena tomorrow, the reality is it then helps you figure out that when you do a transition, what do you need from your systems and where Vena plugs the gaps, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's why I am about to actually set up so I can plan it out. And then I completely, because this is something that you have to go through board and upper management to get it all lined
signed
up,
off.
right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to set up some half an hour, honestly, look, I'm very happy to have technology conversations anyways. To set up 30 minutes with me, my link calendar is right there. We can have a brainstorm. You can throw ideas at me. I can tell you what I have seen and what good looks like, and then we can take it from there. I mean, there's no obligation. I mean, ultimately, you don't do when you do completely something different. It's not the end of the world. But it's always good to, have a brainstorm around it. It gives
absolutely.
me,
I appreciate that.
yeah, it gives me something to think about as well, right? Because then
Yeah.
it helps me understand what basically what you challenges people face and how to solve them. So
Yep.
that's always
Definitely.
exciting.
Yeah. I
Good,
appreciate that.
anytime. Any more for any more? Thank you, Praveen. Definitely, we'll look forward to that. Awesome. So I look forward to talking to everybody offline. My LinkedIn is right there. Please feel free to get in touch. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.